First of all, folks, I want to show you an impossibly rare guitar. This is a traveling Stratocaster, but it's not just any traveling Stratocaster. It has a for real 1957 Fender Duosonic neck on it. How about that? So what you can have is a miniature, like a kid's guitar that's an actual real good playable instrument. This neck feels great. It feels like a 50s Fender neck should, which is kind of rounded edge and kind of rounded soft V on the back, plenty wide. So I had this put together because I saw one at a shop at SIR Studios in 1986, maybe? Yeah, and the studio guitar kind of, well, how can I put it? Well, this guy, his name's Robb Lawrence. He wrote 2 books about Les Paul Legacy. So if you have those books, this is the guy who wrote the books. He was making these guitars for famous people. I am definitely not a famous people. No, I'm just, a guy who played a lot of guitar in bars and stuff like that. But I saw that he had made one for Jeff Beck. And I said, wow, I happen to have an old Duosonic neck. Can you make me one of these bodies? He said, sure, I'll make you one of these bodies. So it took about a year, but he actually had somebody else make the body. A person who I later found out was Tom Anderson, who makes guitars and has made some guitar bodies that I have built guitars with back in the day when I was trying to do that sort of thing. Guitars that I played a lot. But this is a guitar body made by Tom Anderson. The finish was put on by the late, great Tim Williams, who lived in Salinas, California, did really, really nice nitro finishes. So I wanted it to be a two-tone nitro 57 style guitar because it had a 57 neck on it. So it's like a miniature 57 Strat, travel size. Fits in the overhead bin of an airplane, which is, most guitars don't do that. It's pretty small. So, and the pickups. What about the pickups? Well, this is back in the 80s when you could actually talk to Seymour Duncan on the telephone. And so I called up Seymour Duncan and said, hey, Robb Lawrence said that you guys make pickups for this particular travel guitar. Like the same pickups that supposedly were made for that Jeff Beck guitar, which was shell pink, not two-tone sunburst as far as I know. And Seymour Duncan said, sure, I'll make those pickups for you. So I waited for him and they showed up, and then and I finally got the body, and the body had no finish on it. It wasn't finished, so I sent it to Tim Williams. He finished it, and then I bolted it all together, soldered everything. I had a blown up 60s Fender Bandmaster amp with a bunch of cloth coated wires. So I wired it with all those old wires. So if you take this pick guard off and look at the pickups and look at the wiring, it looks like an old Stratocaster. I mean, just the color of the coating on the wires, everything, it's all cloth covered. Is it a really good wiring job? I did it, so it's not that good. But it's good enough. Everything works except for the tone controls, but I'm not a big tone control guy, so I don't really care. Obviously, it hasn't been a big priority because that's the way it's been since 1986, 87 when I put this together. But this is not really the main topic of this video. I just thought, I'm playing this guitar today. I'll show it to you. Something weird. That's one thing I want to do in my YouTube videos, is show guitars that most people will probably never even see, might not have even known of, let alone own. So I've been lucky to stumble across a lot of weird stuff. A lot of cool weird stuff and a lot of not cool weird stuff. I won't trouble you with the not cool stuff, but this guitar has been cool. I've played this on stage in front of, I don't know, it's like 700 people. And I got a lot of laughs, so it was good. So, and it sounded great. I mean, it sounds like a full-size guitar. But one thing I wanted to talk about briefly is that I have been getting a lot of people that are, I wouldn't call them haters, and it's not that strong, but they're really against the whole Chibson thing of buying these forgery guitars. And it's understandable because these guitars say Gibson on them, they are definitely not Gibson, and they don't really compare to Gibson. However, people like me who buy these things and then keep them, I'm not trying to pass them off as the real deal. I'm not trying to, sell them at a profit. I just got one Chibson, one Chibson fake Les Paul and one Chibson fake J200. That's it. In all these years, that's all I've gotten. And I'm getting a bunch of people saying, you're supporting communist China, you're supporting slave labor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they are doing this typing on their computers and cell phones that are made at Foxconn in China, where people jump out of the window and commit suicide rather than work at Foxconn on occasion. So, hey, if you want to put down Chibsons, well, stop using all those wonderful products that are made in sweatshops. And America uses all those wonderful products that are made in sweatshops. It's just one of the things about the economy of this country is that maybe people have a hard time making a living wage and they have to buy stuff on the cheap. So that's why people are fascinated with the Chibson Les Pauls, because $300 as opposed to, I just recently sold a good part of my guitar collection to get one Tom Murphy Les Paul reissue. Yes, 6 guitars went to get that one guitar. That guitar retailed for more than 20 times what my Chibson Les Paul cost me. And my Chibson Les Paul was custom made for me by some small company in China that actually takes custom orders. I said, okay, I want jumbo frets. They said, oh yeah, we don't normally do that, but we'll do that for you. And I asked for some other stuff, like small pin bridge or whatever. And they did everything I asked for. So, I don't know. It's another small business like mine. If you looking back at me, you see a bunch of bicycles. I build bicycle frames. I weld them together. Some of my bike frames go to Taiwan. I have yet to sell one to China, but I've sold them to lots of places with lots of, different economies than what we have. It is very true that China has a very bad human rights record. They are treating people in Tibet and their Muslim population, the Uyghurs, really, really badly. And that is a problem for the world to consider and to deal with. However, I think buying a Chibson Les Paul is not as big a crime against humanity as some people are making it out to be. Trying to pass one off as the real deal, that's a serious crime. That's forgery, that's fraud. And, anybody who does that deserves to be, taken down one way or the other by the law, by who knows, by Gibson, sued or whatever. But if somebody just says, I only have $300 some odd to get a guitar, a flame top Sunburst Les Paul that, has the certain weight, certain shape neck and stuff and made to my specifications, that person is probably never going to buy a Gibson, In my case, I've owned many, many, many Gibsons. I'm not sure how many. I own a bunch now. I didn't bother counting them before starting this video. But I want all the people out there to know that, indeed, I love my Gibson guitars. I'm not going to replace them with a bunch of Chinese fakes. I'm not. I've even bought a brand new Gibson guitar too, so it's not like I bought them all off of Craigslist or eBay or whatever, or yard sales or whatever. So, I certainly believe that Gibson makes superior guitars compared to the Chinese ones. The Chinese ones don't compare, but the Chinese ones, it's a fun project for people like me who like to work on a guitar. It's not much more than that, It's not like, oh, we're all going to buy Chinese guitars and then Gibson's going to go out of business. If Gibson goes out of business, it's because the market went away for other reasons, like their stuff was overpriced or people stopped caring about electric guitars. In my generation, when my generation goes away, that might happen. Who knows? Maybe the whole strapping on an electric guitar and cranking up your Fender Deluxe Reverb in front of a bunch of people could be something that doesn't happen anymore. So that for now, can do it. So I just wanted to say that. I don't hate the people who hate the fact that I bought a Chinese guitar. I would say that everybody's entitled to their opinion. And the opinion of forgeries being bad for Gibson is valid. It kind of depends on what you do with it, though. You know, if it's somebody like me who's probably bought 60 Gibson guitars to one Chibson guitar, well, I'm not affecting their bottom line very much. If anything, I've been a very, very loyal customer over the last 40 some odd years. Yeah. So there you go. That's my answer to all the people that got on my case about having a Chibson guitar. It wasn't many of them. Most people are pretty understanding. You just say, oh, okay, you did that. Maybe it's stupid, but, well, I'd like to know more about it. So what the heck? So I'm trying to be informative. Okay. Well, good luck finding one of these.